Hello and welcome back. So we have the cherry on the cake here, a panel discussion, a free-form dialogue, a meeting of the minds, whatever other verbiage you want to put on it. But we'd have a panel of experts in the field of computer vision and AI, and I would love for them to introduce themselves in a brief in a brief scenario. We're going to go down in an alphabetical order, starting with Armon. Armon, would you like to start?
Yes, hopefully I'm audible.
Perfect.
Excellent. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Glad to be here. Armon Rahgozar. I have been in this business of technology for many decades, more than I like to admit. Uh, the particular area that excites me is imaging, as it used to be called, computer vision, and all the new advances with generative slant on it. So that's my quote unquote specialty. Uh, Data and AI and policies around it definitely are most important thing as part of creating real applications. That's been my pet peeve, and I know in a meeting like this is probably not the most exciting thing to say, but I I will start right now and we can discuss. On all the projects I have done, almost all, it has never been the machine learning algorithms that have been the pain. It has always been the data, the access to the data, how to clean that up, how to protect it. Those were the pain points. The machine learning algorithm pieces are just the easiest part. That's the fun part. Once you get all this stuff done and you can play around with it, then you get excited. So I'll leave you with that, and then we can get to the rest of the dialogue.
Thank you, Armon. Madan, would you like to go?
Yeah, so good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, based on where you are. So I'm Madan from India, and I have 16 years of professional experience with deep tech startups that are into computer vision and imaging. And I had interest on digital image processing and vision from my college days. So, like Anman said, around the fun part, but I was mainly handling the complex part where we have to deliver production grade systems to cities across the world using computer vision part of it. But we had to deploy servers on a trailer on side of a road, and we had to keep servers on top of a car, and the server is having my vehicle detection data, people detection data, and it is also having a model, right? And there is a cloud system like a supercomputer where all my training data is stored and a model file is created from the training data. Now, there is third component, which is my cloud backup, is where all these field systems are uploading data to the cloud. Now, as a technology vendor, as a solution provider, to satisfy the regulation, so I have to protect data everywhere at rest and while it's in motion. So it's an interesting problem. I'm sure we are going to talk about more insights. Particularly, my interest is understanding complete ecosystem, how the data is flowing, how it is protected, how it is encrypted, and like how do we balance between the final end goal for the user versus the security and privacy concerns, both for data at rest and data in motion. Yeah, so we're excited to talk more about it.
Thank you, Madan. Sivaram, would you like to go?
Sure. Thanks everyone for taking time and joining this discussion. I started off as a database engineer and moved into AI, BI to AI, and then now machine learning to deep learning and deep learning to large language model. Essentially, the problems remain the same. The techniques, what you try to do, has changed. Time to market has reduced. So last few months, I'm fighting against consistency, latency, accuracy, and cost. So this is what day-to-day burnout looks like. But yeah, looking forward to share my insights and challenges where you see some customers where cost is an issue, for some customers data is an issue, or customers where accuracy is an issue. Will try to share my perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Sivaram. Sumegh, would you like to go?
Yes, thank you. And hello, everyone. So, myself, Sumegh. So, basically, I completed my PhD in biometrics. So, where I was a part of multimodal biometric system design and development. So, in our laboratory, we did a fusion of a lot of biometric modalities like face plus fingers plus palm plus iris plus retina, and also we work on a heart rate variability, that is HRV is a new component where we talk about the ECG, that is a PQRS complex. So R is the point at which your beat is maximum, so the distance between one R to the another R, so we can measure. We design some Raspberry Pi based sensor mechanism to capture the data, and on the basis of the data we'll try to manipulate with the biometric threads as a biometric modality, and also we're figuring out the patient's condition and everything. And before joining this DBS, I was a part of Symbiosis International University. Then also I part of MSc Blockchain. I started a MSc Blockchain Technology program at MIT World Peace University Pune. And recently before joining this DBL Global University, I was in Italy, and I work on a human robot collaboration computer vision part. So where we have the robot and we have the robotic workstation, and our project is basically assembly and de-assembly tasks. So we need to do the work. We need to enhance the work efficiency, means which task is to be done by the human, which task is supposed to be done by the robot, and how we can avoid the collision, how we can increase the work efficiency, how we can decrease the labor cost, where we talk about where we can means change the trajectories, right? So in that scenario, my duties was we have fitted the Basler cameras, gig cameras in our laboratories, and whatever the pose estimation, action tracking part, I did a lot of things using the YOLO, Media Pipe, Open Lab, like Open means detections, also the MMCV, that is also the libraries where we can deploy the models. Also we work on the Meta eyeglasses, which we had in our laboratory recently, means previously I was in University of Bolzano. So using that we can take the recordings. Also we have the Jetson AGX Orin. It's very good things, like fun part where we can say, instead of having a large and heavy GPU, it's a small, like your combo of your lighter and cigarette like you can say that. And using that you can deploy your own models, and you can do your imaginations or beyond the imaginations with the help of PyTorch, CUDAs, and TensorFlows and Keras, everything which is to be done, which is designed by the NVIDIA. And you just connect that small device, that is Jetson AGX Orin, to your monitor and keyboard. Then using the Ubuntu you can do whatever you want. And yeah, this is what my interest, and also I'm ready to collaborate, because I had some experience prior, computer vision, biometrics, and also I'm working as a PhD supervisor. So now 3-4 students are working under my supervision for the PhDs, and some more are coming nowadays, and master students, where we are looking for the internship part, job placement part. So we are ready to collaborate with Sivaram, Madan, and Aman. Also because I missed your sessions, so I'm more interested to take input from your side, and where we can collaborate and do something good for the nation, society, and we are part of the SWAM community, so how we can do something better. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
I think thank you very much for that introduction. I think Armon set the stage in a very clear light that the pain is not the technical implementation. The pain is the ethics and handling of sensitive data and working with social systems, because ultimately technology is meant to serve people, not people are meant to serve technology. It's meant to be a symbiosis, not enforced in a clunky way. So maybe we can start with the collection, usage, consented, training of sensitive data or data. I know Madan brought up that in his presentation. If we can detect anybody and everybody going through a road system, should we, in an attempt to prioritize safety, or should we prioritize privacy? So I think that is enough to like give you guys room to roam, and we'll get started.
Yeah, I don't think it's an either or thing, and I'm sure you didn't mean it as such. It's really very much dependent on what needs to get done, and there are all these guardrails that you have to abide with. Uh, I just posted on LinkedIn some article that came to my attention with license plate recognitions, and you guys can look at it. The article is from Wired. This company, and I won't name the company, that's been going around and collecting data. Basically, it's an image of the cars, which has the license plate as part of it. And what I was reminiscing in my post was that when we did this a few years back, we were doing in a commercial setting. So we were the company who was doing license plate recognition for a few of the states here in the United States, the states on the East Coast. The most difficult, frustrating part of the project was who owns that data, who should have access to data. And most of, by the way, just to give you context, a good chunk of my team was in India. And that was part of it. Can my team in India have access to the data during training, during production? What if something goes wrong during the operations? The whole thing around making sure that you put all these different switches, walls, so who can see and who cannot see the data. And that's what it takes to build the real system. So I'm not saying that was, I'm not passing a judgment, let's put it this way. But that was really the most difficult part. Now, and I think a few people have also stated. So I don't want to minimize the technical work, right? The machine learning algorithms, it's fun. It's you got to get it done, especially if we have to do it at a scale. So imagine a state like New York or Florida that cars are going through gantries at at some unimaginable rates, and you have to be able to read all these license plates, at the instance. So all that, everything that comes with the scale, everything that comes with the accuracy, all very important. But what I'm getting older, so I may not remember everything. But really, the most frustrating parts have nothing to do with the technology. Technology was the fun part. It was all the other stuff that you had to deal with. So you heard my sermon. What interested me, I think, was I think it was Sumegh that mentioned this. Did I hear correctly that in India the citizens now opt in to give their biometric information to the government?
Yes, because government of India launched the Aadhaar card program, so that Aadhaar card, every citizens of India, even though the child or kid you can consider after 2 years or 1 year, they also have the Aadhaar card. So using that, government will capture their iris, their thumb impressions, facial images, okay, and they are giving them a smart card where they can prove themselves as a unique identity. And nowadays, government is also utilizing this Aadhaar card with the social security card, like a PAN card we have, and for the banking, financial transaction purpose, identification purpose, KYC purpose, and also for the passport authentication, border crossing also, person missing, means a lot of things, operations side by side people are doing, direct beneficiary transfer point of view for sending the money, and it's well known. The identification card government of India is provided to every citizen of India free of cost.
It's
Like,
the key that I was trying to understand is it an opt-in process?
no, it's already done.
No, but do they opt in or is it mandatory?
It's
Oh, it's a mandatory.
Mandatory.
And
Okay.
Yeah, mandatory. If you want to show, I will show you my Aadhaar card.
Oh, that's
Smart card.
interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah,
That
like,
means a great trust with the government. So
yeah.
that is very interesting.
Yeah, I will show you. Meantime, the discussion will move on. I will show you.
Eh,
It's a smart
yeah.
card.
Yeah.
So I can talk about probably the license plate recognition system a lot, given that my entire experience is into those systems. So I'll tell you, like, if you considering my previous experience, so if you have like a parking enforcement system, let's say a server set up at a car park, trying to read the vehicles entering and exiting the car park, one scenario. And second scenario is like a server that is mounted on top of a car that has cameras and GPS and everything. Now, the job of that vehicle system is to automatically generate the violations. For example, in a day, if the officer drives the car for 8 hours, it will capture like probably like 10,000 vehicles. Every vehicle that is parked on the road when the cameras are turned on. Now, the vehicles of interest are the only vehicles which were detected in an enforcement zone in a like zone of interest, and they're actually violating, be it a no stopping zone, or it could be like a overstay zone, like a 2 hour parking, and you park for 3 hours. Now, the image data of those vehicles will be uploaded to the cloud, and the vehicles that were not doing any violations or compliance or non-compliance thing, that will be erased within the system itself. This has been like kind of industry practice. Now, the governments, again, the infringement data, governments have set rules that, okay, you have to store the infringement data, say, for 5 years or 7 years based on the state. Again, this is not country level. Certain states have state specific rules. So that means that governments know basically how to deal with the data. Now, the question is who owns the data, right? So, particularly here, if you are committing a violation, like if I am a citizen, I committed a violation, government needs some data with them to prove that violation, right? So in that case, it's completely the ownership lies with the governments. Now let's take a step back. When we talk about faces and all, so there are probably three kinds of scenarios where we create our digital data. So first one is our own mobile devices or our own handphone. So we take a photo of us along with our friend and we put it on Facebook or Instagram. That is scenario one. Scenario two is public CCTV cameras through wherever you go on a public road or an airport or a railway station. Those are all like operated by public CCTV. The third scenario is basically private CCTV. If you enter into some IT tech park or some shopping center, it's all operated through private CCTV. So at a very high level, these are the three types of scenarios where you are gathering data. Now, coming with the personal mobile CCTV, like personal mobile photos, if I upload a photo on my Facebook, Facebook has to take my consent before they run some algorithm with the data. And to our surprise, they did not take any consent and they breached the Biometric Information Security Act. And Facebook and Instagram, like after, like before they rebranded, both of them collectively paid $700 million fine to the US government. And the third one, there is a company called Clearview Intelligence. What they have done is they just scraped entire internet for people faces and they tried to build a model that can detect any kind of face, any race, any gender, anything, right? And they were sued and they paid like $50 million. Now, coming to the public CCTV scenario, which Jochen briefly mentioned, the thing is, it's with the technology providers educating the policymakers on what is possible and what is not possible. Whatever is the ideal solution we want, the ideal solution is at a camera level, it has to encrypt the faces or it has to mask the faces and then give the image. Now, what if I have to run my facial recognition algorithm on a masked image or even encrypted image? Yes, there is technology. There is something called homomorphic encryption and probably irreversible hashing. So technology is available. Now, can I run it on a Jetson Nano? Right? So hardware is not ready. So in the end, it's going to be a very hard job for the technology providers to give to provide like ideal fail-safe 100% privacy protected solution. But we have to strike a balance between policymaker expectations and the public expectations and the technology. So like these are my few points on this thing. Especially number plate thing is very interesting because the rule says that if I send you a ticket where my vehicle is committing a violation, so that image should not have the number plates of any other vehicles parking around because they did not commit the violation, but they were in the photo. But they should not be sent without masking. And same goes any person standing or walking on the curbside. If they park near a no stop, even if they stand near a vehicle committing a no stopping violation, their face has to be masked before it's sent to someone else's house as a ticket. So it's very clear. It's just about if it goes like to the extreme level, technology, hardware, and expectations. So balancing this is going to be a challenge for the technology vendors.
Nice. Thanks, Madan. Maybe I can share some of my inputs from vision for beauty, vision for food, and third is, I mean, general tendency. Privacy accuracy, totally agreed. I want to flip the question in terms of, there are certain sectors where we have shortage of quality doctors, shortage of teachers. Think about it from all the medical data sets, what we have, 1:1,000 doctors to what it can be done, and how much a doctor can spend per patient, and all these data sets, how they have been done. So one is the solutions what we pick, and are they need of the hour? Is it going to improve in terms of healthcare system, education? That's one way to look at it. And second is, uh, every use case has its own data. One use case which I worked on fashion, it's not a technical challenge, it's a data challenge. I clearly said the skin tone in India, skin tone in US, skin tone in South Africa, everything is different. The challenge is not building a solution, the challenge is contextualizing. What is the skin tone, skin fairness, and wrinkles or pores, and complexion, brightness? You can have a number of custom metric, but you need to know according to that region, ethnicity, what is supposed to be. So in that particular project, the cost of acquisition of data was too high, and that I didn't go through. The second project what I worked that went live is more about a meal recommendation system. But even in that case, fridge meal will be different. What you keep in UK fridge may not be the same in India fridge. What you keep in India fridge may not be the same in probably South Africa or like France or any other country. So vision has a lot of insights, and vision has a lot of culture specific attribute. And depending on the domain, you need to understand. Gone are the days where you can crawl and make anything. The intellectual property or the credit or the data lineage that becomes more and more finer. From an adoption point of view, you need to be cautious in terms of the purpose that you are taking and the data you are going to build or buy. If you are and what is your process? Like it's not that uncredited data. So we have to follow as practitioners. Yes, what we are going to adopt, what is the data cost, and what is the responsible AI aspect of it. Is this a use case which is going to be a use case which is done in social media domain versus use case done for healthcare data set or education? You need to pick and choose what is the need for the R, and specific challenges to each domain has to play a key role. Plus, giving credit to the data, or else you will have the compliance and GDPR following you, where you need to be transparent, or they will ensure that you are transparent.
Yeah, nicely articulated, Sivaram.
That's a good segue. GDPR and things like that. There's a lot of regional AI acts that are being employed now and being phased in different levels of granularity. I know EU has always been very quick to implement and adapt according to the feedback of what is going on in the local environments. The US is historically more like the wild wild west, where things are loose and you innovate and you make money, and whatever breaks leads to fortifications of guardrails and things like that. How do we navigate this ecosystem? I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to uncover here: bias, contextualization, cultural sensitivity, racial profiling, making sure it doesn't have a negative social economic impact. What are your thoughts?
I think a lot of issues and challenges in terms of the data privacy, then the policy, because nowadays there is a new trending in the market, especially in the foreign countries. They are working a lot on the AI ethics. So as compared to the AI ethics, also we need to add on in terms of the biometrics or the data privacy ethics. So globally, people want to think about it and make some uniform. They need to re-uniform the policies and where we can secure the data, and some there will be some strict laws. Then people can have the awareness what they are doing. Means generally for welfareness or some good points come out, so then it is okay. But people are doing misuse of that data, and data leakage is also one of the prominent challenge nowadays, because everywhere you are registering, you are doing that company is also having a tie up with some other companies, and they are only the providing the information. So I will just give 2 minutes and take a short a funny story. So first of all, I just want to show the Aadhaar card, which is already it's mandatory for the government of India, and everyone is having this smart card. Okay, and the story about data leakage is what? Suppose I am ordering a pizza. Okay, so whenever I click the order the pizza, it will ask me like which pizza you are going to be order. Means what amount of the calories and how means less calories or high calorie. Suppose I am taking the less calorie, then it will directly shows your report which is available in our record. It shows me it's your calorie is very low, so you need to higher calorie. Then again spicy or less spicy. So whatever I am clicking on my options, they are having the data which is not shared by me, but they're taking somewhere else from my data. Again like address, which address, home address or office address, but your live location is in Dehradun and your address is in Pune, so how I can deliver? Again I select the bank account. There is a lot of bank accounts and UPI IDs, which bank account? So in that way, like it will take, suppose the technological advancement and disadvantage where we can say that half an hour I spend to deliver and take my order of the pizza, so instead of that I can prepare my own. So this is the story where we talk about the data leakage and all. Means we don't know, like we are just believing and trusting that company or the organizations where blindly we are sharing the data. But it's not the scenario, like they have some back end and they are having some tie up, so they are sharing your data, so your data is not secure nowadays, and people's don't have the awareness. So this is also the main thing where we need to think.
Lewis brought up a very important point. I agree with Sivaram's points on data contextualization. What would you say about the long-term data management approaches, transparency in data collection, sustainability, and disposal of irrelevant data, especially in the public sector? I mean, I was at the airport maybe like 2 months ago, and they had a very clear sign that said, "We have camera systems that are going to detect your face, and we're going to identify who you are and where you're going, and we'll delete it uh, periodically." I didn't consent to that, but they don't care if I want to or not. It's what they deem to be an enforcement of safety protocol. So yeah, I don't know if you guys want to tackle that question there.
I think, see, what she has mentioned, transparency of data collection. I think many companies, like even if you look at Amazon review, they clearly say AI generated, or this email is sent by AI. To some extent, it is there, but not always. Assume that you all your social media data, the alternate data scoring, my data for forms or whatever I submit, the bills, the bank transactions, or my everything that installs in your mobile phone, what are the footprints that are being taken, and how these footprints are leveraged as alternate data. And it can be somebody does not randomly call you for a personal loan. They have the alternate data, they have your transactions, or somewhere you have signed up for a free coupon, wherein like all of these things gets interconnected for them to make a sale. See, this is more of the digital occlusion, wherein like where what you sow, where the seeds have grown to reach to you, and convert it into an opportunity. End of the day, the bits and bytes, what the footprint we leave in every social media platform, the data pointers, it's like a graph, what every vendor knows, Meta or Amazon or like Google, what is going to be a search across the devices, how it's going to be integrated. So I think, the right to forget is there in Europe, but no other countries. Here you can say, hey Google, forget everything about myself. That's not there. We don't, and again, these differences in policy and storing data in that particular location and application of AI, the risk of AI, I think we are evolving. Probably the policymakers are more aware of generative AI than they were aware about AI. At least for whatever the GPT moment of text to image or image to image, there's a lot of traction and there is a lot of guideline. So ideally, we can expect a lot more. And again, the generated text is also huge these days. If you look at with sometimes, I mean, you do see articles wherein like all LLM generated text, if it's going to feed the internet, you are going to see numerous posts and numerous articles. So these guidelines will have a significant impact. Probably in the next season of conference, we'll be having a conference on frameworks and reviews. But yes, it's not too far, I would say, in terms of the guidelines and guardrails, because generative AI is quickly catching up than how AI took time to catch up with policies and compliance.
Yeah, so probably I can add a perspective here. So thing is, all the problems related to data privacy and security are not like entirely new. It's just that awareness increased a lot in the recent years. So let's take example of UK. And I heard that basically, if you just come out of your house, your number plate will be captured almost at every strategic location. There is no road where you will not be captured. Your number plate will not be captured. Now, on the extreme side, in China, I heard that your face will be captured wherever you are, and you will have some kind of social score associated. And I mean, I see a lot of videos here and there that, like at what time you come and where you go, where you eat, like entire your social profile is being made by the government itself, right? Now, I mean, it's a diverse thing, number plate data and facial recognition data. Now, if we take a step back and consider other countries, like the developed countries, which are trying to implement the systems like vision-based systems and all, like they are keeping certain things that you should have, like SOC 2 compliance. Your cloud provider should have SOC 2 compliance, and maybe you should have like ISO 27001 or GDPR and all. So thing is, there is information and there are some examples of strict implementation of privacy thing where technology vendors, policymakers, and public all are basically they are settled. Those systems have been there from years. So if it's like a new country or an existing country that want to enhance the things, examples are there. It starts from data collection, like as Joaquin said, like in an airport. So the message says that you are being watched, right? It doesn't tell that we store your data for next 10 years. Even if the government changes, your data will be there because we may think that you might turn out to be a terrorist or something in the future. So again, how long I can store the data? There is no one answer for it. Literally, there is no one answer, and it depends on the country's leadership, how they think. Like especially when when it comes to like public places, like the CCTV data from the public place, there is no global policy. How long you have to store? Like, for example, in the Middle East, I had that shopping center data. So all the private establishment like shopping malls and retail shops, they have to keep minimum 6 months data. Then what about the airport? Is anyone saying that how long our data is being stored at the airport? So answer is no. So yes, a bit of transparency is missing in terms of wherever we are being captured, and the transparency is like probably need of the hour. I mean, public wants to know how long it is stored and how it is being used. They might not say no. I mean, if you run a, like a entire citizen consent exercise, maybe majority will accept it. Nobody will have concern, but policymakers at the top understanding the significance and creating an awareness and being transparent about where the data is getting stored, how long it is getting stored, yeah, and who all are having access to that. So probably that framework is not like fully evolved at this point. Yeah.
Armon, Sumegh.
No, all good points. What I often think about, and I don't know if there's a solution for this, but sort of an ideal state, if you imagine, is the data is collected for a purpose. So that purpose, that context is very important. I fully recognize that for a business, for a vendor to do something for me, they would need data, and it's in this day and age, everything being digital, that and data is the currency that make it happen. So absolutely, they would need the data to make certain things happen. So the ideal state would be that the data is really used for the purpose that I consent to. I think what we are seeing is that is not the case, first of all. And what is happening is the data is taken for the sake of data. And from then on, I can do whatever I want to do with that data. So additional purposes pop up, additional services I want to provide to you as my client, or additional collaborations that I can do with other entities, with other partners to give you additional services. So, and I think GDPR tries to go after that to a certain extent, make it very, at least make the concept understood that really the data is collected for the purpose that is needed. I don't think we're there. I mean, especially on the social media platforms. I want to carve that out separate from government purposes for the that we talked about, for identification, for security. Put that aside. But on the social media platforms, which is you opt in, whether you know it or not, but when you sign in, you have opt in, and they collect that data, and there are no boundaries, right? They collect all that data. They can do whatever they want to do with it. So that's completely different than other use cases. The article I referred to earlier that I just read today, and I put it on LinkedIn, is just what amazes me is this company. It's going around. They're equipping cars with cameras, and these cars are going around and just taking pictures as they drive around the cities. So that's a very, very difficult, at least in my head, very difficult scenario to tease out. What was the original purpose? what are they? And they're not throwing away any data. They actually are, very excited that we have over 15 billion images, and they're collecting 250 million images a month. So what is the purpose of that data? What is it being used? And they talk about it. They're using it for all the other things, right? They're selling it to the police officers or police agencies. They're selling it to political, in U.S. especially, it's very polarized right now. So they identify sort of your trends, and they're selling the data to the opposing camps, if you will. So you know, these are troublesome, right? These are not. I didn't opt in to a social media. This is not something as Madan and I talked about. It's not. You're not reading my license plan to either assess a toll for me or determine a parking violation. This is just. Let's just say it's interesting.
As the saying goes, the two things that are sure are death and taxes. How come we don't have people that assure the state stability, compliance, non-negative impacts of AI algorithms? I mean, we're not there yet. We don't have the technical capabilities or the trained individuals that can go into organizations to ensure that they're meeting some sort of government regulation or at least not violating any human rights. You're also bringing up a great point: public versus private rights. If I'm on the road, you can take a picture of me, and you're entitled to do that, depending on the country that you're in. If I'm in my house and I have the window open, is it right for you to take a picture? Is that violating my privacy? Are you committing a crime? So it's not so simple as fit for purpose. I know that was a problem with Google Maps for a long time, that they drove around with their cars and they had these 360 cameras, and there were like naked ladies or naked guys that they were getting unintended consequences through just driving around. People just, they're walking around in their underwear. They had to blur them out eventually, but that also violated privacy concerns. So
sorry to interrupt here. Couldn't stop one thought. One is the list of all the guideline. Second is the list of people who are already in production, and third is the list of people who are aspiring to go what they have seen. But what they have to acknowledge is the practices now. You often see the infringement, court cases, legal fights. The example is, the data, crediting the data is, if you are going to do, you need to know within your organization there is cybersecurity council, there is a data council, there is data governance. How do you merge the data? How do you handle PI data? These are all systems which are already there within an organization. But when it comes to AI ML, you may want to build something, but you don't have data for it, or you have something but you don't have the accuracy for it, or you buy a model from some other third party but you don't know how well it will work for your situation. Plus uh, going fast to market versus how accurate I'm able to deliver. So it has to be staged way, taking a high risk use case versus taking a low risk use case, and picking on where you have data availability and business need and an opportunity, versus seeing a fancy demo and seeing I want this demo in my product. So we have to be clear about the need, the product availability, the business ask, complexity of the use case, and the benchmark of the model which you are trying to do. You cannot equate a cat and a tiger, however they look alike from a near view and far view, but everything has its own perspectives. So you need to look at what policies you have in place, what kind of adoption you have. If an incident happens, how much of its reputation lost for you, and what is your response framework. So every organization has to look through in its own lens. AI for business improvement, AI for process optimization, all these are valid use cases, but the data aspect of it is the key for it. Am I going to replicate what is the need for me, or I am going to do a lookalike thing where my data really does not reflect to the model what I'm trying to build? That gap in leadership and understanding and adoption, plus having AI is not going to create. It's not going to innovate if you are not going to give the right data. And if you don't have clarity on what you have, what you want to achieve, you will build a working prototype, but you may never be able to reach a production consistently working solution.
Yeah, so two things which I would like to discuss. One thing, the silly idea comes in my mind throughout the discussions. Like data science is one of the domain or one of the subject, but near future we have the data policies as a new subject or a new domain where we have a lot of opportunities and people can claim. And as far as policy part is concerned, so before starting this panel discussion, we had a discussion with Madan, so where I talk about means whenever we are capturing the images in the laboratory or the research point of view, so basically what will fill the consent form as well as the willingness form from whosoever will come into the lab and we are capturing the database. So something which will supposed to be happen in case of the public data and the private data, they will take our concern at least or our permission, and then it should be goes like this way. Otherwise we don't aware, suppose we are publicly you are wandering here and there and you don't know also some hidden cameras are be there and someone is capturing the images. Even we don't know like this session is going on, and many people can just think about it. So a lot of things, but yeah, the policy reformations and AI ethics and like data ethics or data ethics and policy, it should be a great things which near future is very much challenges, and people is very rigorously involvement of the people is required, and the necessity and the need is started already.
Yeah, so I would like to add one. A good example comes to my mind. So, like Sivaram mentioned, so there is a purpose for collecting the data. So, take a simple example where you came out of your house in a car and went to a shopping center, crossing, let's say, a couple of intersections, and parked your car in a particular parking bay, and you did a lot of shopping. You bought something in healthcare, like cosmetics aisle, and then you bought some clothing, and then maybe some dairy food. Let's say three types of food you bought, and all good. Like you have cameras at the parking entry, you have cameras at the intersection, and you have cameras at the parking bay, like in which bay you have parked. And then you entered into the retail shopping center. There is a main entrance camera, and after that, eye level camera. So your entire track is formed. Let's say you made second visit, right? You went there on a Monday, and on a Tuesday also you went at a different time. Now, the retailer uses the data of your Monday shopping, at what time you came, in which vehicle you came, and then what all aisles you passed through. Now, you made a different choice. Let's say you did not buy anything in the bakery section, right? Now he's curious to know, like again, why you didn't do it, right? Now, let's say on third day also you came out of your house and you entered into the shopping center and you never made to home, right? Now, I mean, what police has to do, right? Police has to look at the data from your house to the shopping center, where all you went. So to even track that investigation, they have to have the data stored of your vehicle and all. Now, whatever shopping references you had, the retail owner is storing that. That is merely for convenience and his own business interest. Now, can this data be given to the public authorities for investigation? Yes. Can retailer get the public data, public like traffic intersection camera data? No. So, like again, there is a purpose, but in the end, it's towards safety, convenience, and probably business owners expansion plans. Like we're trying to centralize it, but all are interconnected in some or the other way, and we have to find a balancing act there in the end, where we meet the convenience and we also meet the safety requirements needed for the public.
That is another good point. Who owns the infrastructure? Who owns the infrastructure determines what the motives and the usage of the data will entail, right? If I'm a commercial entity like a retailer, I know Sivaram sent me a LinkedIn message about making a correction for one of the patents he has. He told me about sweethearting, and I've never heard of that term before, but as he describes it, it's being coquette and flirty and kind of getting a cashier or someone to gift you something because they want your attention. That's theft. Whatever way you want to say it in a sweet way, it's stealing. But it's interesting how it can be used for protective financial anti-fraudulent activity, or to look at the demographics of who buys what, when, where, why, and how to launch campaigns off of that or sell that to the people that are buying that data. Every decision we make in a supermarket is feeding their informations on how to optimize pricing and all these things. I even saw somebody wanted to implement dynamic pricing. So the color of your skin, your age, the time of the day, you could spend $1 in a bottle of water, or if you're really, really thirsty, you can spend up to $5.
And the
That's
type of the credit card you own as well. So if you are owning like a platinum card, you'll have higher rates. If you are owning like a starting card, then you may have like different rates.
that's unethical on my part. I mean, I don't know how to feel about that. That just feels like, how do you extract maximum value from people as assets rather than how do
Yeah,
you solve a real
Uh,
societal issue?
Well, I
that's
mean,
true.
there are a lot of companies that do that right now in the transportation area, for example, in parking. So if you go to a big city and parking is limited during, depending on time of the day and the traffic patterns, they will change the parking rates, and that's a very acceptable, at least. Let me not call it acceptable. That's a common practice. They do the same thing in cities like London, and New York was going to do that, but they defeated it. But if depending on what time of day you enter the core inner city, the tolling rates will increase, and all of that, is because they want to control traffic. So congestion, basically, that's congestion-based pricing, but it's dynamic. So based on the patterns that you see in the commuting, you change your pricing.
Yep. I think brilliant. One thing what usually it resonates with me is the digital divide. One part of the region wherein you have high speed internet and AI access and good education. Other is a digital divide wherein a lot of AML can play a role in terms of education, remote education, telepathy, telemedicine. So many other aspects are there wherein, like, there is data in one side where people are not willing to build model because the domain is not that lucrative or profitable, versus taking all your sales data, buyer data, or social media data, or reels, fashion. It's like profit versus purpose, rightful use versus probably something. It's both useful to business as well as useful to people. If I'm going to make you engage higher and higher, 10 minutes to 12 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, if my engagement duration is going to increase, obviously it's good. But then the number of ads I'm seeing is going to be there, but your productivity is also going to come down. The purpose of why do you use your device for entertainment versus how much you use complete your task. I think that probably the digital divide, responsible adoption, profits versus purpose, it opens up a bigger ecosystem. Like, you sign up for one consent and build 100 models out of it. Nobody knows, nobody's going to validate it. So that until it remains with the person who has data, until he calls out, okay, I've used your data for one model or 10 model or 100 model. So I think ethical aspects overlap, but I think that will be a bigger call soon.
So you walk into any retailer, they capture your face, they dynamically price according to your demographic, and they also I think the CVS got into some very hot water for racially profiling people who had a darker skin tone as potential thieves, and it was proactively sequestering or bothering patrons that were just frequenting the local retail. Sumesh, you're on mute. Oh, so there needs to be a balance, I suppose, and I think government needs to be playing a hand in all this to make sure that we're rolling things out.
People need to understand the risk of AI and they implement without thinking through it. And second, they neither think through where it works, where it fails. They assume a face is detected means it's fine. The same happens loan detection, loan default, credit scoring, or like every person is unique. Either you build a model that understands the domain data. Like if I'm going to deny a loan, there has to be explainable AI. Like it should say you are unemployed for 6 months, you change your job every 3 months, or your expense is more than your income. So there should be certain aspects which the system should control, and we as people who are implementing, we need to advocate for it, either from responsible AI adoption, governance, or implementation part of you, maybe bridging the leaders as well as the customers.
Do we have any concluding thoughts around how we can move forward into the age of AI in a responsible manner?
I'm good.
Yeah, I think I covered my part, like balancing convenience needs, safety needs, and business needs, and the policies have to be central to these three. So that would be my concluding thought.
I think responsible AI adoption is still in practitioner hands. I would not expect some third party to come and do that. I think we need to advocate and include that, then rushing to markets.
Yeah, same. I agree with Madan and Sivaram, but more thing is that the policy reinformations and ethics, AI ethics in AI, as well as ethics in data privacy and data leakage scenario, where we talk about more. So that will be the future which we need to protect our data. Means generally we call it authorized access, unauthorized access, but authorized access in case of the data comes into the picture. So that is more important.
Wonderful. Well, with all that being said, thank you very, very much for taking the time out of your day to share your knowledge, share your insights, and come together to explain more on what's going on in the ever-evolving world of computer vision. If you have time, I know, Armon, you said you have to drop, but if you have time, please enjoy the last speed networking session. It's an hour long. Go meet new people, mingle, people from Brazil, Pakistan, Egypt, all over the place. So be sure to enjoy. And if you have any other questions in the crowd, feel free to reach out directly to the speakers. They're super kind. Otherwise, they would not be here. I appreciate you all very much. And thank you to the panelists for this wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all.